All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Zainab Rahmat. I'm a final year medical student at Dow and the founder and president of the Student Interest Group of Pediatrics. I am joined by Dr. Sahlish Kumar. He is a PGY1 at Jacksonville University Hospital, pediatric resident. And Habiba Mohsin, who is our Secretary General, will be leading the session today. Over to you, Habiba. I believe Habiba is having some internet issues. No problem. I will start the session. So, Dr. Kumar, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for that introduction. Um, how are you guys? Great to be here.
We're doing well.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. Habiba, you can start.
Yeah. So the first question we would like to ask is that why did you choose pediatrics, and was it the only specialty that you applied to for the match?
Yes, good question. These, as I was mentioning to you guys, as Zainab and Habiba a little while ago, it resonated well with me when I started my rotations in third year. I started off my MBBS with the notion that I want to pursue research, but that changed when I started my clinical rotations. And Pete's was, I think, I don't remember exactly what month did I start, but it was one of the few first rotations I believe that I did, and it really touched me as to the breadth and the depth of pediatrics, and just you're not just dealing with kids, but you're dealing with families, you're dealing with community, and you're and the patient population that you see varies widely. Pathology that you see is at the same time more humane as well. I like to say that the impact that you make lasts longer, and the degree of compassion that you need, and the degree of empathy, the degree of knowledge base as well goes a long way than just pursuing, you know, uh, other population, which you don't think about factors that can change um, a, 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 a kid's life. So, for example, it's usually um, well documented fact that if a patient with asthma, if you don't deal with the mold in their house, you're not going to change asthma. So, community factors and social situations and uh, the advocacy and research. So the breadth and the depth of each goes a long way. So that interested me, and of course,
That's
uh,
right.
when you start your clinical career, is when you start working with your uh, families and stuff, you start listening to their problems. You come to know that uh, you have the opportunity to be more than a doctor there. You have to be human, and you have to be more. And it leads to, and that's my personal opinion, leads to more introspection as well as to why you're doing what you're doing. And every day, every patient encounter can be something revealing, not only of the human psychology, but also of what you're doing, why you're doing. So it's a good feel of people who not only they're motivated by scientific pursuit, but also some introspective part of their lives. So I think it's a good balance. So that's why I chose pediatrics. Good question. Thank you.
Right. And was there any other specialty that you applied to for the match, or you just applied
But
for pediatrics?
yeah, I did not apply to any other because I was pretty fixated on pediatrics. So um, PEDS is all I wanted, and PEDS is all I wanted to do. So that's the only field I applied to.
Right. So we often hear that pediatrics is not as competitive as other fields. So did you feel it was tough to compete as an IMG in pediatrics?
Good question. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a PGY2, Zainab. So I applied in 2022 for the 2023 cycle. My intention was not to apply that year. My intention was to wait a year and then apply for 2024 cycle in 2023. But I did my step 2 in September and then OET shortly after. So a couple of my mentors and suggested why don't I apply, and it was already late in that cycle. It was in October that I decided to apply. The deadline ends in September, so I applied within 2 weeks that time. So I didn't apply uh, uh, too many programs. I didn't apply. I didn't have a good much time to like do research as to the programs as well. So the competition part never got to me, and that goes personally as well. I try to. I mean, one of the things med school has told me that taught me that is competition does exist, but chances are the individual path that you're gonna take in life that doesn't have any competition. So people where you're gonna get that eventually. And the problem with competition is I want it today, but not tomorrow. Uh, I try to avoid that. I mean, personally, from my personal well-being. Uh, so I didn't let the competition get to me. Now, having said that, if you see it objectively, if pediatrics is less competitive than IM, it is for IMGs, just because AMGs don't pursue pediatrics. So that gives us more opportunity for IMGs to pursue pediatrics. Now, what I'm seeing these days uh, is because of the fact that not many AMGs pursue pediatrics, people like IMGs who do not want to per se are 100% ready to go for pediatrics also apply to pediatrics as a second option just because it's less competitive. Um, it is okay, in my opinion, that you can. I mean, everyone has a different perspective to things, but what I try to do, the people I kind of mentor and my mentees and who approach me for advice and stuff like that, I want them to at least be comfortable with dealing with peds population. Because when you pursue a career, you're not pursuing a residency path for just 3 years or getting into the system and stuff like that. You're pursuing it for the rest of your life. So competition, I understand the degree of it is increasing day by day, right? So but I want you to be comfortable. I mean, if you don't want to pursue pediatrics as a first option, that's all right. But at least yeah, I can see myself doing it for the rest of my life. So at least have that when you apply that in peds. I'm sure all of you guys are really interested in peds. That's why you're here. But I'm telling about different population. Um, As far as another objective data as to PEDS, how is it different from IM in terms of competition? Is you tend to PDs I've seen the threshold for the score threshold used to be, it's no longer. I mean, the score threshold for step 1, step 2, it's a little less as far as the NRMP data is concerned. It's a little less than IM. Excuse me. So again, that's competitive, but the scores are again, people are getting all high scores, and all of them are applying to many fields, and therefore the competition, is swinging. It's kind of like a riverbank of IM candidates going into PEDS, and therefore the competition in PEDS is also increasing. Because if looking from if for example I'm looking from a third party, if I'm a PD and I'm looking at all the paper CVs and stuff. All of them are good, and all of them say that they want to pursue peds, and all of them have some peds articles and stuff like that. But as much like if I can't talk about it in the interview, if I can't express my genuine interest in it, I think I'll be a little reluctant to give that my like person a position, because once you come to peds as a PD or program administrators, I want you to be happy in the field that you chose. And people leave, people give resignations, they're not happy, they want to rather do IM. So goes a long way. So from the administration point of view, I don't want to, I don't want to, having to deal with repercussions of you coming to PEDS when you didn't exactly want to. So it goes a long way when you come to PEDS. So really make sure that you enjoy it before coming, because seeing kids start ill requires a good stable foundation of yourself. So whoever is listening, I'm just saying that really be confident as to you want to pursue PEDS.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, can you break down the process of applying to pediatrics for a medical student, like in short?
For MLE, US MLE part.
I'm asking that can you please break down the process of applying to pediatrics for a medical student?
So US MLE part or UK or anywhere or just US MLE? Okay.
For USM, yes, for the USM.
So it's the same as any other part. So once you get to step 2, it's been a long time, but and I didn't, the process was a little hazy for me as well. So I'm not a good person to answer, but I'm trying to tell you what I remember. So step 1, step 2, and then OET. After having done OET and all the 2 steps, you get your ECFMG certification. After the certification, there's a portal, ERAS, electronic residency application, something. So you buy a like the timeline is the token of ERAS opens around June, July. The token is basically that you are going to apply this year. So once you buy that token, the application of ERAS opens. So June, July is where you start putting in information in your ERAS application. So that includes CV, that includes LORs, that includes personal statement, that includes scores and stuff like that. Once you've made that CV, once you've put in your personal statement, again you make one draft, second go through your mentors and stuff like that. Get LORs. LORs would be either waived or unwaived. Waived means you're not going to see your LORs. Unwaived means you're going to see your LORs and you're going to upload them yourself. Waived LORs are uploaded directly by your preceptor, and it can be both either either you come here to the US LOR or Pakistani LOR or like a local LOR. Waived LORs carry more weightage from perspective of administration, just because you haven't seen it, and it gives more room for to being honest and for the preceptor. So it's viewed highly. You need at least 3 LORs for every program. Some say cap of 4, cap of 5. Some do not have a cap. Depends program to program, but usually at least you need 3. For peds, I would say try to have all 3 peds, but at least 1 pediatrics related. Just because as being a medical student, some people do not have the opportunity to rotate in peds so much. We do more just because we have 3 years of clinical training versus an AMG who has 2 years here. So they do around 12 to 16 weeks, sometimes 16, sometimes 12 weeks. But we have around 3 months, right? So we do 3 months, that's around 12 weeks. Yeah, it's around the same. But if they want to do electives is where I think they do 8 or 12 weeks. Yeah, 4 weeks of electives if they want to pursue peds. So yeah. So once you have that, the deadline for submitting the ERAS application is around the end of September, usually 27, 28. You need your certification, you need your CV, you need your LORs uploaded, you need your personal statement. Personal statement has to be PEDS related. Of course, I mean, if you're going to apply in PEDS, you have to be really thoroughly passionate about it, and that should show on your personal statement. After so ERAS also gives you the program lists of who's participating in the match. So for example, you want to apply to 50, 60, I don't know how many total PEDS programs are there, but I think they're 90 or 110, something like that. So again, it's a personal choice as to how many do you want to apply, and then you send all of your application to each program. And from October till, so I think there's a rule, a couple of years they passed. They start sending invites of interviews around October 11th, and the interview session goes up to the end of January. February, there's so you get interviews, and then you give all the interviews. Then there's meet and greets, and there's in-person. I think in person you can come and look at the hospital and stuff like that. Not every person does it, and for AMGs also it's not very common because they live far away, and they don't, I mean, it's not necessary part of the application, but it's optional. And then February is where you go to another website called NRMP. NRMP is the match application that juggles, right? So juggles meaning, so you give your, for example, if I apply to 50 programs and I got 5 interviews, I'll rank them in the NRMP. NRMP, I'll rank them based on my preference, and then all the programs rank their candidates in preference, and then the NRMP kind of matches them. You can go through the NRMP match website, and they have a good video as to how the match process works. And then mid of March is where you get your result as to match or unmatched. So I think it's Friday where they release the result as to match or unmatched. Doesn't tell you where. After, it's usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday is off here, weekend, and then Monday through Friday is supplemental application. This is where applicants who haven't matched and the programs who haven't matched, they have the opportunity to apply again and interview again and get in. Friday at the end, everyone gets the result, like the SOAP applicants and the regular match applicants, as to where they matched. And if you didn't get into SOAP, obviously you're not gonna get that result. So that's how the overview of the match process. And for PEDS, I mean, this is for general. You can apply to any field like that. But when you go to ERAS, I mean, there's of course an option as to which field you want to do, and you can filter that, and then you can see all the program lists and stuff. There's also another website, Residency Explorer, FREDA. They have all the match. They have some more match data, like IMG percentage and the time of the accreditation and stuff like that. Residency and FREDA. Some programs are found in FREDA, but not in Residency Explorer, and vice versa. And so it requires a bit much of research as to where you want to apply and with what intention. So requires a couple of months of time, preparation and research, and all sorts of things going till the match, till your end of application. Having said that, the end of September is where all the applications go in, but not necessarily is the deadline for programs. Programs have a different deadline of application. For example, I was late in the I applied late, which means that I could only apply to programs whose deadline extended from September. For example, their deadline was November, end of November, beginning of November, end of December, and stuff like that. Some programs have deadline of October 1st, for example. But the thing is, if you don't apply early on in September, where everyone applies, chances are your application will not be reviewed. For example, if I want 5 pediatric residents in a year and I have 3,000 applications, I probably won't go through all of them. I'll probably go through some 1,000, 2,000, 200, 5,000. If I get good amount of people that I want to interview, probably won't go through all of them. So it's good to apply when the beginning of the ERAS, like the deadline of the ERAS application. So it's a bit risky. You have to, if you have contacts, if you have someone who can vouch for you, that also plays a role. So playing, it's kind of like a game, I would say. You have to play it by the rules, and sometimes there's exceptions, and so yeah, it's just that's how the match process works.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Kumar. I'll ask the next question. So what was your strategy when you were researching programs? Especially as we talk as IMGs, it becomes a little difficult to become financially responsible while also applying to these programs. So what was your tactic? What was your strategy of researching these programs for yourself?
Good question, Zainab. Again, I'm not a good person to ask that question because I had little limited time to do research. But I'm going to tell you how, my mentees and how I kind of advise people to do it. Things you have to consider while looking at programs, and you have to be honest to yourself as to what you want, right? Not just from the career perspective, but going forward personally. Coming here can be difficult for an IMG, not only from getting used to the system, getting used to the environment, getting different culture and language and food and stuff like that. So we, from a perspective of as an IMG, we tend to look at we adjust and stuff like that. We do adjust. It just takes some people less time, some people more. The thing is, you have to be very realistic as to what you want. I'm saying this because when you research programs, make sure a couple of things. One, you have of course, you will see a good culture. Good culture should prevail in the program that you're going into. Culture of not only medical expertise, but mentorship. The residents that are there, what are they doing now? The fellowship opportunities, the how they are tied together, how they help each other out. It's not 100% of accuracy that you can predict that, but you can get that sense of from meet and greets, for example, talking to other residents, contacting them and stuff like that. Residents, as far as I know, are always happy to respond to people who apply to the programs and they want to know more and stuff like that. So again, factors you want to consider, right? So the clinical acumen that you want to. So again, your career, what do you want? Academic medicine. If you decided academic medicine or clinical medicine, how do you see yourself going forward? Does the program help you with that? For example, if you're more clinically oriented, you want to pursue community medicine and stuff like that, community pediatrics, then more clinically oriented and community-based programs would be more helpful. If you want to do more research or academic medicine, then good big university programs would be your best shot, right? The other is if you have family nearby, that goes a long way. Some people come after marriage and they have significant others, and of course they're gonna be close and stuff like that, and that plays a huge role, not from our perspective, but from a perspective also from the program, because they're they want to help you. They want to help you be a good doctor, but also be they understand that it's human to be with family. So having family around, having community around also helps. And many, for example, Texas has a good community, and New York has a community, and like IMG community and stuff like that. So little bit of that transitioning from our culture to adjusting and stuff like that. It's good to have community at the back you can talk to and stuff like that. That's another option, factor that I consider. The other is if you are a good match for the program, also goes along with the CV that you have. For example, if I don't have, if my scores are low, for example, if I haven't done any research, applying to university programs, you can, under some exceptions and stuff like that. But mostly, I think what I'm saying this not because you are unfit for the program. I'm saying this there's no good match because you won't match for what they want, and if you're not passionate about research, you won't thrive in that environment either. People who thrive, people who need certain things to thrive in the environments, right? So not all people are compatible with all environments. You have to pick and choose, and that's why the match process exists. Um, for example, if you're passionate about research, you're gonna go for people who will mentor you through research, and people who want to see people mentor people for research. If they get all residents who are not so passionate, I mean, then it doesn't go both ways. So again, that's a factor, and so I think that's pretty much about it. And just know from a realistic perspective as to where you want to go, and please keep family on top. Clinically, I think many programs here are very, I mean, all of them are pretty good at thinking, but some of them, you have to be uh, very in where you want to go. And environment, some people take environment like cold weather or warm weather. I don't think that should obstruct your or hazy your decision. Environment, you can live in cold for 3 years. I mean, snow is not that bad. Um, so I think that's gonna be
All right.
my input.
Thank you for that. So, we've heard a lot about geographical preference, and some residents are for it, some advise against it. What is your stance on it?
Geographic preference as to the match, or
Yeah, as to the match.
no, I mean like the application part of it, or geographic preference as to where you want to go in terms of weather. Like,
No, like the application part.
okay, so geographic preference is not something I dealt with personally, but geographic preference. When you say advice against it, what do you mean?
Some residents say that you narrow down the programs too much if you have a geographical preference.
Oh, I see. Again, that's a personal. I mean, if you have a significant other, it is very unlikely that you won't narrow down, because you have to narrow down. You cannot. You can. You'll be miserable for 3 years, and again, if you have a sister, if you have a brother, you want to go there, but it's not. if you're at one state apart, it doesn't matter, you know. So it comes to personal preference as to what your situation is.
Mhm.
If you are, you know, if you don't have a family, you're coming for the first time and stuff, and then narrowing down geographic preference doesn't matter much, because you can live anywhere and you can get most of your residency and you focus on your career and stuff like that. If you want more community, and if you want more, as we say, days in a program, then again geographic preference comes. Should it be one of the top factors determining where you go? I do not think. um, but again, it's the factors personal factors play a major role when determining geographic preferences, I think. It's yeah, it's hard to say yes and no. It's because it's going to be a gray zone. Some people have some factors which they can't avoid and shouldn't avoid, and some people can. So I think it's personal choice.
Sure.
Mm.
Right. So we were talking about the CV, and can you please elaborate on how we can shape our CV, especially for pediatrics?
Shape your CV, okay. Um, from Dow perspective, we have many opportunities as to how to do so. Parts of CV consist of multiple things, right? So one, your clinical rotations. Um, Clinical rotations, everyone does so. Doing them, doing them, you know, in a good fashion, learning and getting good grades are one. Your final year pediatrics paper and doing good on that. So score point, a score perspective. Okay. Second, USMLE score or step two score. I don't know if program directors have access to the breakdown of score, or if they did well in pediatrics and stuff like that. I don't know if that they have access to it. But I think we get a breakdown as to uh, which component we performed well in, which not. Okay. Um Other is volunteering. So volunteering, part of the CV you can better by doing peace related stuff, community service, community outreach. There are many societies in Dow, and uh, I don't know. I was TEF. So volunteering in terms of your pediatrics related. Third will be your personal statement. That's another portion. Fourth will be your research, or should be oriented towards peds if you wanna outshine or stuff like that. And I think as a med student, that's all of what you can do. If you want to shoot for the stars, and if you want to get the best possible um, residency spot or fellowship, I think then you have to collaborate with one of the attendings here and do some research, get to know them, get to know the clinical system here, do some advocacy work, write to journals, write to journals as in like editorials, write to um, newspapers about a community. You can write to Dawn, for example, stating any pediatric related um issue going on. For example, you can write about lack of vaccination or lack of eradication of polio in Pakistan, or what cholera. We have outbreaks of cholera, so you can see, or outbreaks of typhoid. So you can write on that to local newspapers and stuff like that. That can also go to the CV. What else? I think, yeah, I don't know. I think that's gonna be good. Mhm.
Right. Next, we would like you to share your personal experience with the batch. And is there anything you wish you had done differently? Any advice you would want to give us?
For the match,
Yes.
or just coming into it? Okay, I would have done differently. Probably not. Um, Again, I'm not a good candidate to ask that question. But I think more researching into programs would be um, would have I would have liked more time to do more research. I'm happy with where I am by the grace of God, but I think uh, it was all His doing. I mean, He did all the research. I didn't do any research for me. So I think I should have played some part. Uh, but do your research. What I want every candidate in at some point during match process to do is write down what they really want. Writing down helps. Just because, like for example, when I did my uh, made my lists of preferences, I rated every program in terms of clinically, how are they, the opportunities, the geographic preference, for example, and my personal preference. Like it can personal preference as to what my heart said, I'd be happy there. So do that, and I think what else? Do your best. I mean, it's a 50-50 your effort and 50% is God's grace. So I think we all do pretty good job as to doing our part and putting our effort in. Just do your best. I don't have anything else. Should I don't think I would have done it any better than what he did. So I don't have any regrets. So
Just a follow-up question, what aspect of these programs would you have wanted to research more?
good question. Um, Community here. Uh, yeah, community will be one thing as to how much community is there. Um, because stats can tell you how many IMGs are here, uh, how many MASH, accreditation, board pass rate, stuff like that. But you don't live with stats. You live with people. You wanna know your people. So make sure you have a good community around.
What's a good way to find out about the community?
It's a difficult thing to assess from being afar. Uh, but what's the best way would be contacting residents who who in a best case scenario will come from your same community, and how they adjusted here, people around who they met friends with, who they open up to, and how it's like living here. You can only know about community through people living in the community, right? So reach out to residents. I think for me personally, I mean, I don't mind anyone reaching out, and I don't think anyone else doing residency anywhere from our, from back home, would mind reaching out, as long as some people like it, in a formal way, or um, having respect, and sometimes people do cross lines and don't come about very professionally and stuff like that. Things happen. I personally don't mind. I mean, so I'm always happy to help. But when you approach your seniors, be be judicious about their time, and act professionally and ask relevant questions. I think when approached like that, everyone would be happy to tell you. like ground realities here. So I think reach out and talk to people, and not necessarily just to reach out to give recommendations and stuff like that. I mean, that's part of the match process. We all go through the same thing, so we know. Um, but as a friend, that goes a long way. So even if you approach someone, I do not know you, but you are here, and I just want to ask about the community. I don't want your recommendation, or I just want to talk to you about how it's like being there. So I think everyone will be happy to talk to you. And even seniors, I mean, seniors in the sense, like people who, for example, I have a doctor from Pakistan who's a pediatric nephrologist. He's been here for 20 years. So he and I got along well because he's a Dow graduate too. So he told me, "Oh, yeah, you're a Dow graduate and stuff like that." So we talked about. So just act, you can always approach in a friendly way, either friendly way too. So I think that'll be a good way.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
All right, so I'll ask the next question. So what did your rank order list look like? Which factors were important to you when you were ranking, and do you have any specific advice for us about that?
As I said, I made a list of. I had 4 interviews, so I graded them. Like I put down their name, then the factors I did, and then I put down, like, marked them out of 10, each category and each program. It was again subjective by the research that I did on their website and by talking to them and what I felt during interview and stuff like that. The factors that I considered, I don't remember them all. I think it was 7 or 8. I don't remember them all. The factors that I did is community, fellowship opportunities, clinically, how are they, how big is the program, um, and what I felt during the interview, and if I have a spirituality for me would be something personal. So if I have community there, or research opportunities, and what I've heard from the program, and if I have family around. My brother was in Virginia, so I'd be close to Florida or New York and stuff like that. So that was one of the factors, and um, that was my. And then I graded them, and then I did the um, um, total marks and stuff like that. From get go, I knew that what the rank order list for me would look like, because it was pretty obvious for me, because there was a wide range of the program that I got interviewed. There was a wide range, right? So some is, that they are low or middle tier, and some are high tier, and you have a sense when you go to interviews and you research on programs and stuff like that. And it boiled down to the same rank order list as to what I had when you calculated the marks. So that's how I did it. You guys can do it, but advice would be as to how to do it. I think again it boils down to those factors, and where you will feel comfortable, what you want to do later, if you want to do fellowship or not. Should it be community oriented versus a university hospital? Where does your CV match? And so I think considering that, then I think you'll come up with one or two top two, and then you will make sure that you are fit for the first 3 options. When if you get for 3 or more interviews, first 3 options is where, if you match, you're gonna be excellent there. And usually people do match in the first 3 of their options, and then fourth you can have in a descending order. Once you get interviews, you get a good sense of where you want to land and where you want to avoid. And depends on how many interviews. If you have one interview, you don't have a choice. Um, so when you go through interviews, I think slowly you get to know programs, you get to know community, you get to know people, what they're doing, and you get a sense of where you want to land.
All right. Just a follow-up question to that.
Right. See,
Go ahead, Habiba.
Okay. So I was just asking that you mentioned tiers. So what exactly are tiers?
Tiers meaning it's an arbitrary term, meaning university programs with good volume of research, good volume of subspecialties, or good patient load, good patient experience, many fellowship opportunities, and like in-house or people who graduate from the residency programs, they match into good fellowship programs. That'll be high tiers, right? So high tiers meaning they're good programs. Everyone seeks out to them. Everyone applies there. Good high scores and good people. You're gonna meet some clinically well-rounded people, and uh, professionally, it's a very good community there. Um, Low or middle tier will be more community-oriented, more outpatient, and less clinical work, or more studying part, but less clinically, and the location where you're going to rotate, also like how many patients. For example, where I go to my continuity clinic, it's one of the largest clinics in Jacksonville. Largest in the sense the amount of patient load that we see. And for example, UF has, I don't know how many, but many locations of clinics throughout the city. So all residents go through clinics, right? So for example, if you have we are 16 residents to our neuro, right? So if a program takes 4 or 5 residents, you know that they can only accommodate 4 or 5 residents just because the patient load, and they want to make sure that you are exposed to it. For example, if you have 250 patients in a day, and you have, and for example, in a week, 250, you can only ask 5 residents to look at 50 patients a day in a week, for example. But if you have 1,000 patients, you'll need more residents, and you can accommodate more residents. That'll be high tier. You know what I mean? So, so you get a good sense of how much exposure, how many residents they take, what they do after graduation. That's high and low tier.
Makes sense. So the next question would be, is what advice would you like to give in relation to like how to build connections? What are some ways we can build connections?
One obvious will be coming here, talking to people, not easier said than done, just because of visa issues, and getting a observership, getting an
Mhm.
elective goes a long way. So that's the obvious one. Second, reach out to the doctors around if they have any connection there, or your personal people like family who you know, they have connections, and they know someone who lives there, and then you can contact them. That's how you make connections. Third, is your seniors who matched or were currently working. Again, contact them professionally, maybe sending them email, or asking them what's a good time to talk. From our perspective, because residency can get tough, when we come home, if we see a when you want to talk and stuff like that, we have to make sure that if you're giving you time, we are giving you a good quality time. It's not like uh, so because we get 4 days a month, and then we have to do other groceries and stuff like that. So taking our time gets a little difficult, and when you come here, you guys will be on the same boat. Uh, so again, reaching out to seniors. The fourth one will be, and um more I should say difficult but more fruitful, is research. Getting to know there are 2 or 3 avenues now in Dow of how to connect to attendings here to do research and stuff like that. Attendings here who want to do research and are motivated to do so, they want helping hands. And if people who can do the work and put in the work and effort, and they're motivated themselves to do research, they're more than happy to help. But again, you have to be more. If a person here wants to recommend you for research to an attending. For example, if I were to recommend you, Habiba, to an attending here for research, that I know that this person and she'll be good if you want to research and she's interested in peds and for etc. Then I want to trust you. I want to have that trust in you, right? So first you're gonna make that connection with me, work with me, and then talk to me, and then if I know you for a couple of years and stuff like that, if you work with me for a couple of projects, then I can recommend you to a person that needs more help, and then we can both work on that project, right? So it goes like
Right.
that. Directly contacting attendings, you won't get far because they don't know you, and it's difficult to. I mean, it will not be worth their time to directly contact you, even if if you are really passionate. But from a practical point of view, it's gonna go won't go fly high. So that's how you're gonna be approaching attendings for the most part. If you know attending personally, and that's another story, right? Um, that's another way to make connections, and what else? Meet and greets, and but that's after interviews, and um, yeah, I think those four avenues are the major ways to connect to seniors. Hope that helps.
Right. So the next question would be, what are letters of interest?
Okay. Letters of interest are, as the name suggests, so after we apply to the programs, if we really want to go to some programs, for example, if we have family there, if we rotated there, if we really like the programs in terms of in-house fellowship, for example, any reason, and you really want to go there, it's like the first two choices after doing the research and after rotating, for example, or if you have significant other working there, um, then you will send your letter of interest to. So after interviews, you will have some time to send like an email to PD program director stating your interest. That's why I want to pursue. I want to come here, and if you don't mind, just look at my CV, right? So that's called letter of interest. Now, if
Okay.
there you have two, three choices, it's it's advisable to send it to only one or two if you're or two programs. Um, if you have, for example, families at two locations, so you can send it to, but not more than that. But people, I think they send more. Uh, you can do that, but you have to live up to what you say. Personally, I feel like so.
Okay.
You have to have a good reason. And if you have family around, you have brothers and you have cousins everywhere, you can state that, and you can live anywhere, right? So I think you can send more, but you have to make sure that you live up to what you say.
Right. So can you explain what is signaling and how it works and how is it different from a letter of interest? I mean, it can get a little confusing for some.
Letter of interest is something outside of the official match cycle. Signaling is part of the
Okay.
ER's application. So you can signal and then also send a letter of interest, you know, uh, stating that you're really interested. Um, Again, I don't have a good experience of signaling because it didn't exist when I applied. Um, but I think the most common, like the basis of it is basically you signal programs where you have family, where you want to match really, and then they know that you've signaled for some reason, and then you have a good chance of getting attention of the PD, and they review your CV and stuff like that. Thank you, froze. Zainab, you there? I think Abiba froze. Mm.
Yeah, I'm really sorry for my internet connection. It's been really crazy these past days. So let's talk about personal statements. Can you briefly please explain what the general structure is and how you went about writing it?
General structure. Personal statement has to be personal, so there's no particular general structure, but most of it you can divide it in 3, 4 paragraphs. First one, each one has a different structure. I mean, again, it has to be personal, but most commonly, what you want to talk about is I want to know a couple of things from a personal statement. One, you're interested in peds. That has to show in your language
Mhm.
and your uh, example and um, why you want to pursue peds. Two, I want to know your skills, your soft skills, not exactly your clinical skills, but that I can assess where you come from and your scores and stuff. But your soft skills of your language, your grammar,
Right.
um, and if I am interested in something, and if I give an example of something in personal statement, uh, it has to reach from my heart to the other heart for me. So it has to touch the other person's heart, right? So that will show in my personal statement of
Mhm.
what I hold dear. Make sure that the third will be what you want to do, like what you're looking for in a residency, what your future plans are. A small portion of it you can write in personal statement. There's some, again, personal statement is a very nuanced topic just because you have one page to state so many things. So you have to be very picky as to the words that you use and how carefully you use your language and stuff like that. Other will be I want to know who you are and what you hold dear, your values, your belief systems, your not exactly I'm talking about religion or spiritual, but clinically or professionally, what values you hold dear, compassion, like empathy, or talking to parents, counseling them, or you want to pursue advocacy, you're into community pediatrics, or you hold that research is the way to go and help people, so you hold that dear. So I want to know about a little bit about, so again, it depends on how you write it. 3 or 4 paragraphs, 1 page, 1.5 page, mostly is where we end. And many people write generic personal statements. No one likes it. Not any opinions. Generic meaning I'm passionate. Like stating facts, right? So stating I'm a team working player and um,
Mhm.
I want to do this. I want to do this. That's a generic. I want to know what you've already done and what you're carrying forward with from it, so that I know that you when you come here, you're gonna learn and you're gonna carry that forward. Um,
Right.
Stating you are a leader doesn't do much for me, but if you tell me that you did 200 hour of community service and you were the leader and you helped forward make a organization or student body and stuff like that, that indirectly tells me that you're a leader, you have the capacity to be the leader. So stating uh, words don't go well with me personally, but giving examples and showcasing your abilities by what you hold dear, that's, I think, is a good way to write personal statement.
Right. So is there any advice you would like to give us for securing electives particularly?
advise as to how to go about it?
Yes.
So Dow, I think, as a program, we couldn't apply it because of COVID and stuff, but I think they have some understanding with a few universities. They apply electives with, like, every year. They used to give 3 months to fifth year students to go to electives. I don't know if they're doing it now. I don't know. Um,
They do give us 1 month in between fifth year, and then we have 2 months after our final exams for electives.
yeah, so those 3 months, I think you can go for electives. Uh, Come to US and stuff. How to secure it? Many universities have online applications, I think. I don't have a list because, we couldn't apply, it was COVID. Um, but I think the I forget, QIC at Dow might have a list. I forgot the doctor's name, but Dr. Chima or some, she was the head when I was there. And she may have a list as to where to apply and the universities and who take Dow students and stuff like that. And some universities you can search and they have online applications and you can apply through that, electives. And I think there was a website of electives as well. Try Google searching. I think there was a website of electives, and um, they take IMGs and stuff like that, and application processes and stuff. I'm pretty sure there will be. I think I saw one, sub I's and um, things like that. And after graduation, observerships get tricky. Then you have to go to connections, contacts, and asking seniors and where they did it and contacting the same facilities and stuff like that. That gets a bit tricky. Well, electives, I think Dow can help you, and seniors can help you as well, contacting them, and because because we didn't have chance to do electives, so I think the previous batch might have some idea of some electives. Yeah. Also, I have another appointment now. How long? Do you have any more questions or?
Sorry, just one question and then we'll let you go. Just wanted to ask, what is a normal interview day like, if you can break that down for us?
Okay. Again, it depends on in person or virtual. Mostly it will be virtual. Many universities are going towards virtual. Each program does it differently. Some programs do it throughout the day. Some programs um, break it down to 2 hours, 3 hours. So it depends on each program. For example, I'll give you two examples. One program that I'd interviewed from 9 a.m. Sorry, I mean US 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 4 p.m. It was like 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. So, for example, they gave us an introduction, an hour introduction to their program. Then there was a 5 minute, 10 minute break where we talked to each other or ate together, ate dinner. Then we were broke out into rooms and we went our official interviews, and then there was a gap and then there was interviews again. So kind of reciprocating or imaging the in-person interview in a virtual way. In-person interviews usually will involve you getting introduction and then talking to the candidates, eating, having lunch, and getting to know each other. That's replicating in a virtual format. Some programs do it very like an hour long programs divided into two. Some do it couple of hours, some do it like 15-15 minute block for an hour. So it depends on each program how the interview days looks like. But when you get an interview, when you submit a date, they walk you through how it will look like. So it varies by program. It's not a set standard.
So it's just like a normal workday, 9 to 5.
It has to be. Uh, from our perspective, I mean, from US time, not from Pakistani time. Pakistani time would be mostly in the evening to late night hours. Uh, but interviews, it has to be working time.
So the program director asks questions and then program coordinator ask questions, or how are the blocks divided?
Program. Oh, okay. So again, into each program does it differently. Some programs, program director and assistant program directors take interviews. Some may chief residents take. Sometimes some attendings take. Sometimes chief of some department takes it. Again, it's divided. So some programs take ethical questions. For example, um, one of my interviews had 4 blocks of 15 minutes each. One, I talked to program director. She talked about what I want to do, why do you want to come here, CV and stuff like that. Assistant program director focused mostly on the CV part, describing what you did here, describing what you did. She went through um, each portion of my CV, for example. Third was chief residents, of how residents are helped here and what their dynamics look like, and any questions I had. Fourth will be like ethical questions. Uh, they'll give a scenario, describe what you will do here and why you want to do, and ethical and stuff like that. So each, and some programs don't do ethical questions. I don't think any program asks about clinical questions. Very rarely do they do that. Ethical questions, some more do it, and mostly it's personal and getting to know you and your CV and explaining and things of that nature.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Sorry that we're going over time with this.
No,
Uh,
no.
any closing remarks? Anything you'd like to say at the end of the session?
Just congratulations on choosing pediatrics. It's a good field. Um, it's enjoyable not only in terms of work but also taking care of children, getting, and many diseases in adults are chronic, but children tend to get better, and um, you can make a lasting impact and be passionate about it, and you'll go a long way. And there are many opportunities. If your head and heart is at the right place, I think you can work anywhere. Now, of course, there are practical notions to it, uh, and but have your head and heart at the right place, and I think Peds is it's a very rewarding field. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time and for answering all of our questions. If you don't mind, could you share your email with the participants if they
Yeah.
have any questions we can share?
Yeah. It's my official like UF email. You can contact me anytime.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We'll end the session here.
All right. Thank you. Nice being here with anyone. Good luck. Just let me know if you have any questions, any other questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.